and we are live. Sam Young, superstar, Real Meal Revolution client of about 6 months. And Sam joined Real Meal through one-on-one coaching and then did the Eating Psychology Online Transformation Program. And she is here with us today to discuss losing the weight, keeping it off, and just losing the weight in general and all things Real Meal and what her new life looks like. Sam Young, welcome.
Yes, hello.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's rewind all the way back to before you had lost any weight, and talk to us about how you felt about your weight and what your attitude was towards your health.
Okay, sure. So before Real Meal Revolution, I was not in a good space with regards to my health or my weight. I actually was at the heaviest in my life, weighing around 103 kilos. My health, I had high sugar levels. I was insulin resistant, probably about 4 years before I started Real Meal Revolution. And it was just all a negative. I was in a negative space. The worse I ate, the more bad foods I ate. I was in a bit of a downward spiral. I didn't want to do any exercise. I was tired. I was buggered all the time. My lifestyle was very busy and hectic, and I think I used the excuse of I don't have the time, it's too hard to be healthy, and I prioritized my work, my career, making excuses for myself, trying to put off failing again, because I think I've been on many diets. I remember being overweight as far back as I can remember, and I've tried many diets before, which I would lose and then put back on and not keep the weight off. So I really did feel like I was too far gone to change my health.
So tell me about that mindset. I imagine the more times one fails at a diet, or actually, like I can experience this too. The more times I fail at something, the less I want to actually try again. So can you talk about what it's like to be in that headspace where you really don't feel like even giving it another crack?
Yeah, and I can say, I didn't want to give it another chance because I didn't want to fail, but I also knew that I had to do something. I knew that it was now or never, and I wanted to have energy again. I wanted to be able to run around with my daughter. I wanted to feel healthy, and being in that negative mind space, though, it just made it worse. And if I can compare to now, when I am healthy, the healthier I eat, the healthier I want to eat now. Way back then, when I was in a negative headspace and everything felt like a chore, or even to exercise or to do anything, it was more not that I wanted to do it. It was more I was forcing myself to do it. I felt, I needed to put my alarm on at this time and walk or run or. So yeah, it was being in a negative space created more negativity for me completely.
Yeah. And what was it that tipped you over? So what was there a specific event or even conversation, or was there something you saw or something you experienced that changed gear for you, where you decided okay, now I'm into gear and I'm going to take action?
Yes. A friend of mine actually did Real Meal Revolution, and she lost over 20 kilos quite quickly. And her and I have a great relationship. And actually, we had tried together to walk and to run. And then on other occasions of meeting up, it would be, okay, we're going to have the piece of cake together, and we would eat the cake together. So the two of us had a very similar relationship with food and with eating and with trying to do well and constantly talking about it. And I mean, I think I had the Last Supper every Sunday night, planning to start a diet on a Monday, which, Anyway, and she did Real Meal Revolution, and she said to me, Sammy, just give it a go. I know you will love this. And for a while, I actually didn't. I said, I feel like I'm not going to have the time to do it properly, to give my all. I do have a bit of a perfectionist personality. When I like to do something, I like to do it properly. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to track and to buy the right food. And, I'm on the road with work, and my career's busy and life's busy, and I'm not going to be able to do it. So I put it off for a while. And then when I saw her results, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to actually give this a try. I was also just in a headspace where I really wasn't happy with myself and my relationship. I wore clothes to cover up. I hated going shopping. I hated trying on clothes. I hated, it was constantly on my mind, my weight. And I think even eating out at restaurants, I had such a battle with food. And I would like almost tell myself before going out, you're not going to order the pizza tonight. You're going to order a salad. And then I would get there and then I would go, well, stuff it. I'm not paying 150 Rand for a salad. Like I can make that at home anytime. I'm going to have the pizza. So I think from trying to restrict myself so much, it was a constant in my head, constantly in my head. And it doesn't need to be that, and I think the more it was in my head, the worse I got. And the more I failed because I basically, in my mind, I was already failing. I knew, okay, I'm telling myself I'm going to eat the salad, but when I get there, I'm going to eat the pizza. And then I would, it's so hard to even explain it, but it took up so much of my headspace. And I just wanted to get out of that. I wanted to feel healthy. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get more energy. I needed to get my sugar levels down. And I thought, she said to me, to not overwhelm me, I think, which worked. She said, Sam, do it, don't think too far ahead. She said, just commit for 30 days. 30 days, and I promise you, she said, you won't want to actually go back. And that was actually a year ago, if I remember correctly. I actually started it at the end of March in 2021.
So it sounds like you kind of already decided to do low carb. And it sounds like there's some psychological stuff as well, which I want to touch on. But just on the low carb front, were there any doubts that you had that would be the right approach? And were there any other approaches that you tried, in this round of the Last Supper?
Yeah, so I had never done completely low carb before, actually. On every diet that I did go on, I did Wayless, I did Weight Watchers, I did Fit Chef, where they literally deliver food to your door. I did fitness programs, and I went through stages of losing 12 kilos, but then putting on 20 after overtime. But that was always the eat your carbs, eat your protein, eat your fats, eat your fruits. It was trying to balance everything, but it was limiting the amount of food, I think. So a lot of the diets that I went on, especially when I was on the fitness programs, was, have your one chicken breast with 5 pieces of broccoli, and dry and boring. And then, in the morning, have your oats, don't eat your carbs after this time, or have a banana, but no, you can't have a banana then, you can have it now. And it was all just very complicated. And that's where I felt like, you just need to be. I didn't have that time, although it was an excuse now when I look back, to kind of follow the strict kind of meal plan. And those were always the ones that I tried. And it did work, but it wasn't sustainable for me. So I would lose weight, and then eventually I would get to a point where I can't eat another dry piece of chicken with 5 broccoli pieces. And I would, because I was limiting the amount of food. And then I was frustrated with myself because I was like, you're meant to be on this diet. Why can't you just do this? What's wrong with you? I come from a family also that's actually all very fit and healthy. My dad's 74. He's the fittest person and the healthiest person I know. I've got a younger sister who's tall and slim, an older brother who does Ironman. And I was always the one in the family that was overweight. And I thought I had a problem. There was, but it was all psychological now when I look at it.
So, I want to just, there's definitely a 2-part journey, and I just want to divide them up, because the first 3 months with Real Meal. So you decided to join Real Meal based on the advice you got from this friend of yours, which is great. And I'd love to know who the friend is at some point. And then you started with your coach, and what was that like? Tell us about those 3 months.
That was amazing. It was the best thing I've ever done. And the support I got was incredible. The knowledge and the science and research behind everything, I think, made so much sense to me. I believed it so much that I was like, I wanted to follow it. It wasn't now that I'd been told, this is your meal plan, eat this, eat that, and you will lose weight. It was more about, I mean, watching, going on some of the workshops and watching some of the videos that was part of the online program together with the coaching. I learned a lot and I understood it. And when it made sense to me, I was like, well, there's no other way. This is the only way to go about it. And it was easy. And for the first time in my life, I loved it. I loved going to a restaurant and looking for the healthy option on the menu and actually ordering a healthy option and going, this is better than the pizza, And that first 3 months, I can honestly say I didn't go off track once. And it wasn't because it was difficult. I remember the one time I said to Victoria, my coach, I had a mild panic attack because I'd eaten carbs by mistake. I'd ordered a melanzane from a restaurant, and after halfway through, I was like, no, this is like, I'm feeling a bit bloated and this is really good. And I checked the aubergine and it was coated in some flour, and I had a mild panic attack, and I messaged her. She said, calm down, like it doesn't matter. And I was like, no, I'm going to go out of ketosis or this or that. Obviously it didn't do any harm, and I carried on losing. So that the coaching side for me, as I say, I still ate delicious food, burger patties with blue cheese sauce on a bed of rockets, mushroom. I ate, and the first month I didn't incorporate intermittent fasting. I lost weight following just the meal ideas. I didn't stick to one of the meal plans. I did track my macros, which I was very afraid of doing and thought I wouldn't be able to stick to. But after tracking for a month, 2 months, I kind of got the gist of it. I don't track anymore. But it was very interesting to learn through that tracking process as well, not counting calories, but looking at the macros. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that. And so I can say that 3 months of coaching, the accountability, also every day getting a check-in from Victoria, the ideas from her, the advice from her, she was just phenomenal. And I think that hugely helped in getting me started on all of this. I didn't obviously stay completely on track after my first 3 months, but that's also been a blessing for me because I've learned more through that as well.
Well, so let's talk about that. So having experienced many people on their weight loss transformations, we have this all or nothing thing. You mentioned earlier the Last Supper, and the Last Supper is such a die-hard approach. Like from this day forward, everything is going to be different. You also said that you were in crisis, when you accidentally had a bit of flour maybe on the aubergine, and that's we're laughing now and it's funny, but there are many people out there who that does destroy, and it happens, and then we flip what we call the fuck it switch, which is like, oh well, it's broken now and everything's broken, so let's throw it all away. And people battle to bring themselves back. But the other thing is that it is an all or nothing. So it's like, I'll hold my breath, go 100% until I quit. And I've heard people say, I'm so nervous that I'm going to cheat. So it's like being nervous of doing something on purpose that is 100% in your control. It's like this weird thing to be worried about, but it's a legitimate fear because many people
so relate to that.
Yeah, are worried.
Yeah.
And then you said it was really good that you actually, or I wouldn't say cheated, but kind of went off and on the bus. So talk us through that.
So I think why I say that is because I think I have been, after learning through the Eat Psych course, I learned quite a lot about binge eating and different habits. And before I did that course, I would never have said I'm a binge eater. But I think I definitely was a binge eater, and I definitely had the approach of the Last Supper. As I say, I think I've had that many times in my life where I was all or nothing, and I was like, okay, eat everything, literally, let's get it, a Debonairs pizza and then some ice cream, and then because I'm not going to be able to eat any of that from Monday, so I need to get everything in that I can get before I go on diet again. And I think learning through the Eat Psych to try and stop actually restricting yourself and letting yourself have that free choice and saying, well, no, Debonairs isn't going to go away, even though it's gross. And that's not something that I want to choose to eat. But there are those moments where that's what you need. And allowing myself that free choice has been a game changer for me. So and I'm not saying I have had moments even during Eat Sack where we had to do a bit of exploring and put ourselves, to the tests. And one of my tests that I put myself on, what was great is that we figured it out all, for ourselves, but with the support of Victoria and Tessa and even the other ladies that we met. My test the one night was, okay, go out and actually order whatever you want. Have whether it's carbs, whether it's sugar, whatever, have it. And then check tomorrow that you don't go on a 3-day binge. Rather, don't eat what you want and then say it's done, moving on, and then go back to what you want to choose, which is the healthy stuff. And that night going out, when I allowed myself to order whatever, I actually didn't even want to order the carbs or the sugar. So I thought I have to do this test though. So I ate a few of my daughter's chips, and then the next day I was fine, went back to normal. So I've changed my mindset of I can never ever have pizza again, or ever have chips, or ever choosing what I want. And when I've given myself that free choice, the 90% of the time it's a healthy choice. Where compared to how I used to eat, I would say 80% of the time I ate unhealthy and 20% of the time I ate healthy, because 80% of the time I was in a rush. I bought a sandwich, I bought this, and it made me feel like shit. It made me feel at low energy. I didn't want to physically do any exercise. Where now choosing the better options makes me feel better. I enjoy the taste way better, of the healthier foods. I enjoy cooking. I'm lucky that my boyfriend loves cooking also, and he makes delicious keto meals for us. So it's just been very eye-opening for me. I think my knowledge on health and nutrition before was very low. And I just thought there was something wrong with me, and I was just fat, and I just had to kind of deal with it, which sounds stupid because I knew I was putting the wrong things in my mouth. But just wrapping my head around everything and how the psychological side goes with it, that's been a game changer.
So you mentioned something there about permission, and it's such a nuanced thing. And so I'm going to try and unpack that, but then I want to ask you to kind of explain it. So there are two dynamics that you spoke about. The one is this idea of being perfect with your diet and eating the right healthy food to get the weight that you want. Okay. And that is for anyone who wants to lose weight, you're going to have to restrict yourself. And whether it's restricting in terms of the volume that you eat or restricting the types of food you eat, there's no way. So just my own little rant here is like, I hate it when people say low carbs are a restrictive diet, because any weight loss program, even if it's over a year, there's going to be an element of restriction, be it heavy or not heavy. And so that's difficult. But if you're restricting and you see it as restricting through the lens of deprivation, it can be very unempowering because you feel deprived, and then you feel like you need to rebel, and you feel unempowered and like not allowed to do stuff. And what you were saying there is that when you gave yourself permission, you actually felt like you didn't feel like you needed to as much because you were allowed to. However, that line is blurred quite often, and a lot of people, even in the Eat Psych space and on the keto space, battle to reconcile. Like, how do you still focus on a goal or on the outcome of eventually reaching a healthy weight and lifestyle through restriction, which is obvious, and it's restriction in many ways. Restrict the amount of fun you have, increase the amount of exercise if that's what you're on, restrict the amount of food you have, increase, do all these things. How do you do that, but also be in the mindset of giving yourself permission without completely going on a bender and falling off the bus?
So yeah, it's interesting you say that, because it was a very gray area for me during the course. And I thought, well, how does this make sense? Because I am restricting myself. And now I'm being told to not restrict myself. Like, it was mind blowing initially. And that's where I did, as I say, I experimented a bit. gave myself free permission to eat. I ate a pizza. One weekend I had 3 pizzas because that was just how the weekend went. And I actually, after that, had a little bit of a meltdown to myself. And I thought, oh my God, yeah, you've given yourself permission and now you're going, back to the other side. But all of that helped me get to now, I think, where I am, where I know that for me, my body doesn't handle carbs and doesn't process carbs well. So I am restricting or going low carb, but I'm not really telling myself that. If that
So
makes sense.
you're restricting but not depriving.
I'm restricting but not depriving, and I'm not waking up and going, oh, I can't have this today and I can't have that today. And I have some dark chocolate at night. I buy those veg wraps, which is the cauliflower and turnip wraps. So I still feel like I have a Banting pizza every now and then. I make a lasagna at home out of aubergine or out of vegetable lasagna sheets. So. But I really am not restricting myself 100%. The other day my daughter baked some cupcakes with my mom, and I went to pick her up, and she said, "Mommy, I baked you some cupcakes." And I was like, "No, thanks, my angel. That's going to make my tummy sore." And she said, "Oh, but you'll love it." And and I said, "You know what?" And I ate half the cupcake. And although during my 3 months of coaching, I would never ever have done that. My first 3 months during the coaching also, came over Easter. It was over the Easter period last year. And I watched the workshop on how to get through the holidays. And it really wasn't difficult. And I blew myself away with thinking over Easter time, oh, gosh, I didn't want to eat the chocolate. Going up to it thinking, oh, my word, how am I going to cope over Easter? Where this year, I'm not going, you can't have anything. I might have a chocolate on Easter. I might not. I'm not putting that pressure on myself anymore. And I know if I don't have the chocolate and if I go fully low carb, I can lose 2 kilos in a week easily. And as I say, my first 3 months, I lost the 16.7. I then got up to losing 24 kilos. Now with playing and exploring a little bit during each sack, I put on 1 or 2 kilos. I then lost 3. I then put on another 2. But it was all part of the process for me, and it was all part of my journey. And I know that I don't have to think I can never have carbs for the rest of my life. I can never have a real pizza. I can never have, because there might be a time where I do, and it might be next week. It might be in 3 years' time. But what works best for me now, I'm choosing the healthier option. And so although I am restricting myself, I'm not restricting myself, if that makes sense. I'm not depriving myself. Yes, I still have a good time. I still eat delicious food. Funnily enough now, like I spoke about before, RMR, when I didn't, doing exercise, everything felt like I was under pressure, or I had to do this, or I was told to do it. Where now I really enjoy my exercising, and I put my alarm on, and I like waking up in the morning and seeing the sunrise and going for the walk or going for the run. And that came, I think, I didn't exercise in my first 3 months. The first 2 months I did no exercise, and the third month I walked a little bit of my coaching. But after that I've carried on my exercising, because I want to. So then I also go, I'm exercising, I'm living a healthy lifestyle. If I eat half a cupcake that my daughter's baked, you know what? I'm not going to weigh myself tomorrow. I'm going to see at the end of the month. And I know compared to before, I'm living a 90% healthy lifestyle. And for me, that's good enough.
That's great. So let's talk about what life feels like now, in contrast to how you explained it before you found Real Meal Revolution. What can you tell me about your experience of life in general?
So life in general now is obviously much better. As I say, I still do want to lose about 10 kilos or so. So I'm not at the end yet, but I'm enjoying the process. And as I say, I'm not trying to rush it. And for the first time, and as far back as I can remember, I am comfortable in my body. And I buy clothes now because I like them, not because I'm trying to find the bigger size to cover up. I also learned a lot through each sack about other things besides just weight loss, and setting some boundaries for myself and within my lifestyle. And I think as I mentioned before, where when I was so overweight, I only would focus on things that I could control, like work. So my career was my life. My work was my life. I put in many, many hours, and work came first. And I've changed that completely. And it hasn't been a negative in my career. I'm still getting done what I need to get done, but it's not my be all and my end all, and I'm not on call 24/7. I do what needs to be done, but I've set some boundaries in place, and I've got some more time for myself. I've worked a lot on my self-worth and self-care, which has always been something that I've wanted to do, but how do you do self-care, have a bath and lots of candles? Like, it never made sense to me, where now all that kind of stuff.
How do you do
So
self-care?
I've started yoga, so I do yoga. And as I say, I do like take time out for myself, where, it's not necessarily always just having a bath and lighting a candle, but it's thinking about things in my life, writing things down, so journaling a bit, doing my yoga, meditating. So that stuff has all only come into my life since I started Real Meal Revolution.
Wow.
All of that took a backseat before.
Amazing. And I wanted to just ask about the kind of people who you think would benefit. And I just want to make it clear, like, you did do 2 different programs with us. So you did the coaching program, which came with the 4-in-1 bundle, and then you did the Eat Psych thing. So, they are different. I think they're totally different. Who do you think should consider doing coaching program?
I think the coaching program, if you are the kind of person that's tried to lose weight and failed, and if you are the kind of person that feels like you don't have the willpower, I can tell you that it's not actually about willpower. And probably you'll learn, if you go ahead and do this, you'll realize that it's not a lack of willpower that's making you fail. If you've reached a point where you've just had enough and you want to lose weight and you want to feel good from the first week, I think that's also a big thing that got me to stick to the program, because in 1 week I think I lost 3 or 4 kilos, and I could feel it already. My pants size has gone down from a 22 to a 14. If you want to feel energetic, if you still want to eat well, I think so many diets say to you it's not a diet and it's a lifestyle change. This really is a lifestyle change and really isn't a diet. Yes, you're not eating carbohydrates, but you just feel so much better. You feel that you won't really want to eat the carbs. You might have your ups and downs and fall off the wagon a bit, but I think you learn along this program also that falling off is okay, and it's all part of the journey. And it doesn't mean you then need to go and eat everything and have another last supper because you've fallen off. You can just get back onto it the next day and keep going. So if you've got weight to lose, if you've got health problems, I think if you've got high sugar levels, if you are diabetic, all of that, I think this is great.
So before we go into the Eat Psych thing, you mentioned that, so the Last Supper, but you said you don't need to go and bounce back. So the other thing that happens with the Last Supper is like the farewell to, like the farewell to the dark side, I guess, if you want to call it that. But then our indoctrination into the like new us is usually so extreme. It's totally unsustainable. So, for example, I got a client who said, she's like, I've fallen off the bus completely. I need a plan for a 5-day broth fast.
Okay.
And that is not a broth fast for like a yogi who's like, who's fasting regularly and wants to take it to the next level. That is like a punishment broth fast. That is like undo the evil that I have done to myself. And so the thing is, the reality is that if you do have like a pizza orgy weekend, like a 3 pizza weekend, it's very easy for you to justify that kind of response to say, well, I went way out of control. Now I'm going to fast for 3 days. Because that might put me back to where I was when I started. What is your view on that? Because what you're saying is that's not necessary, and I agree, but I'm keen to hear what your reasoning is behind that, why you would take a different approach and what that approach is.
So I've taken both of those approaches, actually, and I think that's what I've learned. Also, that's what I learned throughout my coaching course, and also with Victoria. With me having that perfectionist mentality, I kept asking her, how do I do this and how do I do that? And she kept telling me, Sam, you need to figure out what works best for you as well. So yes, there's this way, or there's that way, or there's that way, but be flexible with it. So I've gone through periods where I do, if I cheat, the next day I will fast for the whole day, or I will fast and do OMAD, or I will do a day of eating green vegetables because I feel like that, gives me a boost and I'll lose the weight again. Or I have a day where I'll cheat and then the next day not do anything, just go back into eating my normal keto-friendly stuff. And also with the fasting, I have, for a long time, I did the 18 hours, 6 fasting. And now that I am exercising quite a lot in the mornings, so I wake up early from around 5-ish, then I felt waiting until 12 o'clock what was starting to feel a bit restrictive, where I was like, I can't wait until 12 to eat. And then I thought, okay, I'm not going to let me take a break from the fasting and see how that goes. So I have been exploring, quite a lot. And I still seem to lose also without the fasting. So again, I've been losing and kind of maintaining, I would say, because I would lose and put on a little bit and then lose. But I've never maintained this well before. And although I do want to lose another 10 kilos, what's excited me is that when I do go back now into strict keto and I lose that next 10 kilos, I know how easy it's going to be for me to maintain. I can have a day where if I have a wedding and eat something, have a few glasses of wine, the next day I can either fast or I don't have to. And it's taught me that it doesn't have to be the all or nothing. I can, and it is 2 very different things. The one-on-one coaching and then the Eat Psych are 2 very different courses, but it's helped me. The coaching helped a lot with the knowledge and the research and everything behind it, and understanding the health benefits and the accountability and eating the healthy keto foods and not going off track and losing the weight fast. And the Eat Psych has really helped me to stop feeling like I'm on a diet, and to stop feeling like it's restrictive, and to stop feeling like, do I have to live the rest of my life like this? Because it can go.
Yeah,
I can change. I can go through. I can fast for 6 weeks, and then I can say I'm not going to fast for a while, and then I can do maybe OMAD here and there. But I know that all in all, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, I'm being healthy, and
that's great.
I'm feeling good.
And so what kind of people do you think would be interested? I think like the eating psychology thing's scary. Okay, it is like, so it's one thing. The problem with selling a lifestyle change is that obviously you're paying for it with money, but you're also paying for it with time. And I don't think a lot of people see the value in an eating psychology program. I think that a lot of people see the value in a meal plan because we're accustomed to thinking like the solution for a weight issue is a meal plan. So they're like, okay, well, if this meal plan works, then yes, I'll pay for it. But it's a difficult thing to try and explain. So maybe you have an explanation, like what is the real value that you got out of working on your eating psychology?
Sure. I think you learn a lot about yourself, and you get to, I was amazed at how many people I could relate to, like blown away. I thought there were issues that I had that I was the only person in the world that had. And then when I could literally, you learn a lot in the main room, and then you go into breakout rooms where you have a few people in a group with you. You very vulnerable. You talk about a lot. You share a lot, but you learn from those people's insights and experiences, and what you can relate to them also helps you feel a bit better about yourself. That you're not, the only one, and that's you're not broken, and you're not silly or stupid for having these eating kind of issues. And yeah, the one very scary task was writing your life story. And when I wrote my life story, I had to actually take a step back and read it again and go, shit, okay. It's you've had quite a life, and to have to actually share that with someone. So it's very hard for me to explain how it all ties into your eating, but it does. It just does. And that was also something that I couldn't really believe in the past. Like, no, it's, it's not, it's just, here's your meal plan, follow it and you're fine and you can lose weight, but it's not that simple. And I think when you told it's that simple and then you fall off and you don't do that, you feel like you don't have the willpower. You feel like you are doing something wrong. You feel like you to blame, and until you sort out all these other issues that you might have in your life, I think the Eat Psych course is worth every penny and more, and it helps you change your outlook on yourself and life and eating extremely long term. It's not a quick fix. And I think at the beginning also of that course, you do hope it is, because I remember during December when I was like, oh, okay, December, it's fine. I've had lots of fun. I'm doing my Eat Psych course, so I'm going to, get back on then. And then Eat Psych even made me experience more and explore more, but it's all for the greater good. And I can honestly say I'll never, ever, ever go back to eating how I used to all the time and being depressed and feeling overweight and being overweight and hiding my clothes and not wanting to exercise. Like, it's mind blowing. I can't explain it. I think, I would almost suggest doing both. Whether you start with the coaching, I think starting with the coaching is good because you lose the weight and you're in the right headspace and you're like, wow, okay, this works. And then getting to those deeper issues during the Eat Psych course, I think helps long term. It definitely helps long term.
That's awesome. And so where to now? And so let me contextualize that. So a lot of people, and I think this is the biggest mistake people make, is that they think that the goal is to lose the weight. And I always say right up front, like, the goal is to live a rich and fulfilling life. And losing weight enables that. It makes it possible. So the people who arrive at goal weight saying, oh, I've arrived, this is all I ever wanted, I'm now at goal, like, it's not that awesome. it's like you have the day and you're like, wow, the moment that you hit the target, it's amazing. And if you don't have bigger plans, you can often I suppose you can stop being so inspired. So what I'm keen to know is, like, what is it that you see now as available for you that perhaps wasn't available before, and what other goals are you looking at now that this isn't necessarily a problem solved, but is something that you have more control over?
Yeah, sure. So that's a big question. Yes. For now, just I've got a trip planned to New York at the end of April with some family. So I'm going on that trip, and then I'm coming back in the middle of May. And then I have set a short-term goal for myself that from the middle of May, when I get back, I actually do want to go back onto strict keto, like the plan that I followed during my 3-month coaching course. And from a lifestyle point, I think I have reached one of my goals where I want to exercise because I want to, not because I'm putting my alarm on at 5 o'clock because I have to run because I need to lose weight. It's because I actually enjoy it. And I think I would like to start exploring a bit more with the exercising as well, and doing a bit more weight training and not just running and walking. So that is something that I want to get into. And I also want to get back into swimming, where I think for a long time I love swimming, and being overweight, I didn't want to get into a costume and get into the swimming pool at like a gym or a public pool to train. So that is also on my list to do when I get back. Long-term wise, with goals, I just really want to keep this up. I do want to keep it up, and I do want to continue to live the healthy lifestyle besides losing the weight, enjoying myself, being outdoors, being able to, go to the beach and feel comfortable on the beach with my daughter. It's something she loves. And as I say, I'm not there yet. I still need to lose about another 10 kilos to be completely comfortable on the beach. But I'm way more comfortable in my body now than I was, a year ago. So I would say, because I still have some weight loss goals. That's really what my focus is on now. Beyond that, once I reach my goal weight, I haven't thought about that yet.
Awesome. Well, superstar Sam Young, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, thanks for sharing your story, and also congrats to you, because I think people think that we are the ones who change people's lives, and we only provide the information and the support, but actually everyone who comes up here has done a ton of work, and sometimes that work's really uncomfortable. Sometimes the work's like, it's the work you don't even want to talk about. And so it's super cool that you've done all that work. So well done for all of the hard work, and congrats on the results. I think it's amazing. And I'm so super stoked that we could be a part of that.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. I think you should do a retreat for the Eat Sack.
Oh, that would be hectic.
I think spending a few days with everybody. Yeah, no, I met incredible people on that course also. So it was
awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna stay on the line, but that's it. So everyone who's watching, over and out. Have a